Not only do I want school choice as a parent, I demand it. I'll go you one more. I demand that the kids have a say in this too for a change. That's right. Boy, you got to let me rant and rave on this one. Thanks for being here. It's the Cool Dad Rules. My name is Bill Adams. No guests this time. I don't even have any audio for you. Just a rant and a rave and a couple of things that I've learned during this pandemic of ours, right? And things we should have all learned, because you got to start paying attention to this. It's coming here. We'll never go back to educating kids again. And like I said, is there a better life skill we can teach our kids than to get them involved in their own education process? Because let's face it, if you've been with us for a long time, you've been with me for a long time now, you know what this program's all about. Not so much a parenting show as it is a life skills program, right? Because I've determined that I think all parenting problems are solved by giving life skills to our kids. That's what it's all about. That's our best shot. Is there a more important life skill you can possibly give your kid, your child, of any age, than to have a say in their own education process? And I can just see the rolling eyes now. And you're clicking off, and you're outraged. And I'll get the comments later, too, on the Facebook page. That's okay, though. How can we let them decide? They can't decide on their own. They can't even get out of bed on time. Really? Well, I think you'd be shocked if you actually give kids a choice and a chance to chime in their own education this time. In fact, I've seen it. State of Texas, before their start of the school year, late in August, had a 400% increase. 400% increase in homeschooling enrollment. And that's not going to last. A lot of people are going to realize that it's not for them. That's fine. You know what they started to see in that particular state, and in my state too? Not only parents showing up at school board meetings, and a lot of them on Zoom, to chime in on what they wanted, kids getting involved too. And I'm telling you right now, if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're an administrator, a teachers union member, you better start paying attention to this, because the revolution is here and it's never going back. Ever, ever, ever. And you better realize this. Remember we had like student government? I mean, for me growing up, and what we always knew, even as recently as probably last school year, this used to be a popularity contest kind of thing in school, and, you know, the kids would vote for each other and they'd decide what they want in the snack machine or something stupid like that. Oh, that's changed. Get ready for student government. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing where kids are chiming in, using their influence of any age over their parents and their families to decide what they want their local school districts to do. And that is awesome. It's an awesome, awesome thing. And this is what it's led to. More school choice, more options, and more choices for families and kids. Well, they can't have that, right? Can't do that. We can't let them decide. Why? Who's better? Who's better to decide? The way we've been doing it? School administrators and these districts that can't get their elbows out of their asses to decide how to get kids back in school, how to do it, how to appease the teachers at the same time. Or how about this one? This was my favorite locally in my own district. It was like a week before they were going to come up on a decision date on when get kids back to school. Well, we don't know if we have the process of the materials to get that done. You had 5 months. What have you been doing? Why are we relying on them? Maybe we'll keep relying on the bureaucrats to get this done for us, right? Maybe they should decide the kids' education, or the politicians, or all the other outside influences that have decided this thing. Or, yes, I'm going to say it, or the teachers' unions and their opinions on this. How's that been working out? Pretty good? Because nationally, education-wise, despite some school districts having outstanding numbers and outstanding results and producing very well-educated kids, we suck at education. We're terrible in this country, and it hasn't been getting done the way we've been doing it. School choice is here, and it's going to happen. And I just want to tell you that if we don't start involving these kids in the school choice, it's going to go right back to the way we've been doing it the whole time before. Parents and adults like you and me are going to screw this thing up again. So what's out there? What school choice? Let's go back a second, right? Let's talk about this entire concept, because, you know, you might be asking the question. Let's take it 2 steps behind and define it. What is school choice? Alternative approved education options to traditionally mandated and assigned schools, right? That's about it. And it was different. It's a different world when I was growing up, and probably for you too. You went to a town, and this was the elementary school you were assigned to in the town, because that was on your side of town, and then they assigned you to a bigger middle school or junior high, and then they assigned you to the high school. Mine was 1, or might have been 2 or 3 in your town, wherever you're from, And that's the way it went, right? But it was a different world, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Maybe we had this whole idea about school choice wrong the whole time. First school choice concept or option I ever heard of, and probably a lot of us ever heard of, was the GED, right? Kids dropped out, get your GED. In my class, which was, no, it was a pretty good school actually, and there was a lot of smart kids. It was upper middle class. There was one kid that got his GED, and I'll never forget as long as I live how he was mocked by not only like other families and parents and other kids, by teachers as well. I'll never forget that as long as I live. This kid was a burnout and a loser, and that's never going to go anywhere. Well, he was a burnout. I mean, I think we can face that. But he was no loser. In fact, just recently, this kid in my age, my grade, sold his business that he started when he got his GED for millions and millions of dollars. He's a multimillionaire. School choice worked out for him. I think we had it wrong the whole time, didn't we? Shouldn't we have kind of looked at this thing a little bit different? And now look where we've come. If there's one bright spot of this entire pandemic and the hand-wringing and the controversy of when to go back to school, can we put teachers here, what's the best way to do it, is that we've got us all looking into different options. That's not only homeschooling, which has grown in popularity. I gave you the Texas example before, but other states as well. Accredited online programs, and I'm not talking about just putting kids on a Zoom class and having the teacher try to control all of them on a Zoom program to try to teach them that way. Accredited actual modules that teach the kids, that way, the way to be able to do it. Other online programs, dual enrollment programs with local community colleges as well. There are options there. And there's one other criticism I'm sure you're throwing at me right now. Like you're going to get kids involved in a school board meeting. Like you're really, please. They're not going to do that. Oh, you'd be shocked. You'd be actually shocked at some of the video that's out there. Look at your local town. Maybe you can even look at some of the public access of some of the local town meetings that have happened and how many complete families have been involved with this whole thing. The time for choice is right now, and it's happening. Where do you find them? Easy choice, easy Google search actually to find school choice in your area, no matter where that may be. Just Google your local district, wherever that is in the country, to find out what accredited programs are there, to find out what you can do, to find out what's already available and what may be available in the future here. Because it's time. It's time to give them the life skill. Is there anything more important? Really? Because that's what we do as parents, right? That's the best thing we can possibly do, is give them a life skill to empower themselves. That's what this whole thing is all about. That's why I do this podcast and this vlog. That's why I do it. It's life skills for kids that we're supposed to teach them. That's the best thing we can possibly do. And now's the time. Because how we've been doing it has been an absolute mess. I want school choice. I want kids involved in that choice, and they will be. You'll be shocked if you actually give them an option to have a voice in this whole thing. And we all know, we talk about it all the time, the kind of influence the kids have on their parents, right? Have them look at it. You know what you may find? That the homeschooling option that they opted for doesn't work out for everybody. They may not like it. They may not like the online schooling option that they opted for, or the dual enrollment with the local community college. Or if they decided to go back to their assigned school in their local community, maybe they want to change that too. So what? This is what we've learned. Then change it again. Move again. Try a different thing. What's so bad about that? Why can't we actually give them the option? Why can't we try it? Try something different. Try a bunch of things that are different until we find out something that will work for them. Hey, do you have anything to lose? Because we've got millions and millions of kids in this country who have pretty much lost an entire year of schooling. Let's face it, they have. The testing's going to be lousy. It's going to be different. I think fallout results from this entire thing. A lot of kids being home where they hate it hasn't been right for them. And most likely, kids are going to want to go back to their home district option for their school that they were assigned. Most likely. But I'm telling you, the change is here. Look into school choice and actually what that means these days, and let's stop putting it down. And while we're at it, let's stop putting down trade schools, because we still do that in this country. What is so bad? Why did we all of a sudden look at trade schools and figure that this is a bad thing? You know? That was another thing back to my high school experience. The kids that wanted to go to trade schools instead of a college, why was that looked down upon? You know, it used to be like in the 30s, and grandparents and great-grandparents, they always said, never hurts to learn a trade. They were right. Never hurts to learn a trade and to learn to work with your hands. And a specialized degree. What's wrong with that? Let's stop putting down all education options, and let's realize everything that's on the table. I promise you, from me to you, from the bottom of my heart, when you look into it, you will be shocked at the options that are available to you. There are options there, even if there's no possible way you could possibly keep a kid home because you're working full-time. I get it. But that's not the only option that's out there. Lots of them are. What you're really going to be shocked by are how involved your kids will be when you give them an option and the power to decide how they're going to be educated. It's time. It's time. All right, chime in, disagree, yell at me. I have a feeling I'm going to get a lot of teacher union emails. People all mad at me. Change is coming. Too bad. It's thecooldadrules.com. Check out the Cool Dad Rules Facebook page. It's always great being with you. And thank you so much for all your suggestions as well for future things we can talk about. There won't be just a rant and a rave, I promise. We'll actually bring a guest in and some experts and all that stuff. But it's about giving these life skills to kids. That's how we parent. That's how we actually do it. All right? We'll talk to you next time. Thanks for hanging out with me.